Hello and welcome to a POL242 2013 presentation on ethnic and immigrant tolerance in Canada. Canada is, according to Banting and Kimlicka, unique amongst Western democracies, and that support for multiculturalism has been strong despite a global trend against it. This trend is supposedly because Canadians are generally very tolerant of ethnic minorities and immigrants. My research question thus asks, is this true? Are Canadians more tolerant of ethnic minorities and immigrants? And, if it is true, why? What factors lead up to this pattern? For this research, I am using the Canadian-based Canadian Election Studies 2011, CPS and PES. The sample size is 3,362 based on the smaller common denominator. I will be using Cronbach's alpha, a bivariate cross-tabulation, an ANOVA for F value and Schaef test for significance, chi-square for statistical significance, and tau c for measures of association. The reliability analysis of level of ethnic and immigrant tolerance was between hostility towards immigrants, opinion on racial policies, and feeling towards racial minorities. Alpha score was 0.6235, making the concepts reliable enough to be combined into an index. The final recoded index was divided into low, moderate, and high levels of tolerance. Before and after recoding did not have much differences in the distribution and central tendencies. They were both slight right skewed and flat curves, which confirmed my first research question: Canadians are generally responding to be more tolerant. The first hypothesis uses age. Older respondents are more likely to be intolerant of ethnic minorities and immigrants than younger respondents. This is based on a research by von Hippel. This rationale is based on literature that older people simply lack the physical and mental inhibitory ability to not be prejudiced. The second hypothesis uses democratic satisfaction. Respondents with a higher satisfaction of democratic processes are likelier to be more tolerant of ethnic minorities and immigrants. The rationale here is that foreigners are convenient and often use scapegoats by citizens when frustrated with a perceived dissatisfaction in the political system. The final hypothesis examines whether having more education leads to being more likely to be tolerant of ethnic minorities and immigrants. The rationale here is that education simply teaches respondents to be less intolerant and at the same time encourage democratic values through an expansion of perspective for the respondent. All hypotheses carry a null hypothesis, that there is no relationship between the dependent and independent variable, and if there was, it was likely due to sampling error. The analysis between age and tolerance. Although Schaef test indicates there is a significant difference in age 60 plus with other categories, the tau c of negative 0.107 shows that there is a very weak relationship. However, F and P scores both indicate there is significance and it is unlikely a sampling error. Thus, we can reject the null hypothesis. The relationship between tolerance and democratic satisfaction was even weaker than age, a tau c score of 0.085. Again, F and P scores indicate we can reject the null hypotheses. Education was where I made the first breakthrough, as a tau c score of 0.253 shows that there is a moderate to moderately strong relationship between higher education and higher ethnic and immigrant tolerance. We once again reject the null hypotheses based on our probability of sampling error, both indicated by Pearson and F probability. Schaef test resulted in all groups being significantly different from one another. Tau c of negative 0.107 shows, although the direction of relationship, increase in age, decreases in tolerance, is correct, it is far too weak to make any predictive remarks about this relationship. Thus, we should not expect age to be an accurate indicator to how tolerant Canadians will be of ethnic minorities and immigrants. Tau c of 0.085 also indicates the correct direction of relationship expected in the hypothesis number 2. More satisfaction means more likely to respond higher in the measure of tolerance. However, like age, it is far too weak a relationship to be an accurate indicator to why Canadians are more tolerant of ethnic and immigrant minorities. We can reasonably believe that education is a strong contributing factor to the ethnic and immigrant tolerance of Canadians, as it had a high tau c score of 0.253. Thus, hypothesis 3 explains best the high-level tolerance present in Canada. The most significant factor influencing tolerance is education. However, are people of other Western democracies necessarily less educated than Canadians? What are the comparative considerations? In real-world application, it shows that multiculturalism and ethnic acceptance in society can be strongly affected by our education system, and thus countries struggling with social instability based on ethnic tensions should consider a strong educational system as one of its core solutions. Perhaps a degree of liberal and democraticness of the education will also play a hand.